Welcome to the channel where humanity never goes quietly. Tonight, we bring you a story from the edge of oblivion. A tale not of victory, but of memory. This is the longest night in the galaxy. Humanity's final flame was memory. The last safe place in the galaxy wasn't a fortress. It was a dying ship with one broken human on board. The stars ran from the dark, but the dark ran from us. The thing that arrived wasn't an armada. It wasn't an enemy. It was absence. Systems dimmed. Stars went cold. Languages forgot themselves. Species who had never known fear began to weep in their sleep. Entire worlds powered down in a single breath. No war, no scream, no light. Just a whisper, silent and endless, sleep. And they did. Civilizations that had stood for millennia fell quiet. Not dead, not destroyed, unwritten. The Accord called it the Wane, and one by one, they sealed their borders. Abandoned outposts, buried records, fled toward the galactic core where myth said light burned longer. Until only one signal remained, flickering at the edge of nothing, the Nightingale. A broken, pre-Accord relic, ancient, half-powered and human. The ship that shouldn't be. The Nightingale had no right to exist. She was barely more than a floating coffin, her hull stitched together with Earth-forged steel and orbital scrap. No AI, no warp-jump matrix, no modern shielding. Just old Terran engines and duct-taped modules clinging to rusted spine. But her signal pulsed, a steady beat in the dead night. The message was simple. Hailing all ships, we are open. We are alive. If you are afraid, come. The Accord flagged it for deletion. Then silence came for them too, and suddenly the signal mattered. Her name was Ren Hale, age 36 Terran Standard. Born 1 year before Earth fell. Last survivor of the Nightingale's original crew. She wasn't a hero, not a scientist, not a warrior. She was a mechanic. A zero-G welder who fixed things others threw away. And now she floated alone in her ship's central core, repairing the same life support systems for the 100th time. The ship groaned, always groaning, but it held. Like her, it wasn't pretty, but it didn't stop. She sipped recycled water, checked her cracked terminal, another proximity ping, another refugee ship, another species. Fleeing something they couldn't describe. She sighed. Guess we're still open. The vessel was a Sirene podskiff. Elegant, feathered, designed for light drift diplomacy. Now it was scorched and empty-eyed. Ren docked it herself. Inside were 3 survivors. 1 Sirene child, eyes blind from fear. 1 translator node, barely functioning. 1 adult, clutching a crystalline heart that pulsed irregularly. They were dying. Ren didn't speak Sirene. Didn't have to. She sat beside the child, took its hand, and whispered in Earth Standard, "You're not alone. We don't close doors here." And the child breathed again. They didn't just arrive from one direction. The second ship came from below the plane, a place no sane traveler dared. Its walls were obsidian. Its interior, hollow, no crew, just one voice, faint, human-shaped. "You're the last spark. Don't let it go out." Ren played it 10 times. The voice was familiar. Elias Grange, last soldier of Earth. Her father's captain, presumed dead. But the signal was time-marked, only 3 days old, from inside the Wane. She whispered, "What the hell are you doing out there?" And the stars didn't answer. But the Nightingale hummed a little louder. The next to arrive were Torvaluk. Carbon-titanium hybrids, 8 arms, no faces, only survival. They never asked for help. They never took refuge, but now they came. And they asked one question: why does the dark not consume this place? Ren answered with grease-stained fingers and tired eyes. Because we're used to monsters, and we don't give them the quiet they want. They bowed, a gesture their kind had never given. And they stayed. Among the refugees was a human girl no older than 6, found drifting in a life pod with no log, no ID. She didn't speak, she just drew circles, lines, stars. And always one shape, a door. Ren asked her what it was. The girl looked up and finally whispered, "It's the one we didn't close." The Wane moved closer now. One by one, outposts winked out. But not the Nightingale. She shuddered, she coughed, but she sang. Not a song of hope, a song of defiance. More ships arrived. From fractured worlds, from enemy lines, from cultures that never spoke until now. And each one heard the same voice. "Welcome to the Nightingale, you're not alone." Ren stood in the viewing deck, hands on rusted railings, and whispered to the dark. "Come on then, we're not scared of long nights." There was no warning, no burst of heat, no static, no gravimetric ripple, just a hole. A void in the stars, blacker than black, eating sound, light, thought. The Wane, a sphere of absence where all sensors failed, except one. The Nightingale's inner hull picked it up, not with tech, with vibration. The ship felt it, like a memory pressing against her skin. Ren stood at the bridge's viewport and stared. "Looks like the bastard found us." She didn't sound afraid. She sounded ready. The refugees panicked. Torvallic soldiers drew weapons no one had ever seen. The Siren child clung to Ren's leg, whispering, "We should run. This is where the others gave up." Ren knelt beside her, took her hand, and said not softly, "Then this is where we don't." She keyed the emergency broadcast, set all decks to lockdown, and then she opened the fuel dump valves. Every line across the Nightingale's lower hull bled oxidized gas into space. Then she ignited it. The void met fire and staggered, not because it hurt, because it had never been touched before. And the Nightingale roared. Aboard the lower deck, the little girl with no name stood in the firelight. She whispered again, to no one, "I remember this." Then she walked into the ship's neural relay chamber. No one had ever done that. It had been dead for years. But when she placed her palm on the old Terran interface, the ship lit up. Systems that had never worked surged to life. External panels aligned, engines pre-spooled. Even the dead warframe in Cargo Bay 6 flickered, like something deep inside had decided to try again. Ren's console buzzed. New signal detected. Origin, unknown. Language, human standard. Message, "You remember." That is enough. The Wane didn't stay passive. Tendrils of null space speared toward the ship. Not lasers, forgettings. They unraveled memory, erased wiring mid-run, devoured moments from people's minds. The ship groaned. Panels buckled. The refugees screamed as entire corridors flickered out of time. But the Nightingale screamed back. From her bow, an ancient cannon rotated into place. Hadn't worked in a century. Ren gave it one order. Target absence. Fire remembrance. She didn't know what that meant. But the cannon did. It charged not with plasma, but with recordings, images, voices, the laugh of a mother, the breath of a dying friend, the ship's own memories. And when it fired, the dark reeled. Because it was struck not by matter, but by meaning. She took a hit. Not from a weapon, from loss. The Wane tore into her mind, tried to take her father's voice, the last memory she had. She screamed, fell to the floor, trembled. But before the void could finish, the child placed her hand on Ren's chest and said softly, "I'll hold it for you." The voice returned. Her father, laughing, scolding, singing. Ren sobbed, then stood and whispered, "Your turn, motherfucker." The ship turned into flame. Not fire, narrative. Hallways lit with moments. Refugees joined hands and began to chant stories. Not prayers, not cries for help, declarations. The Torvallic remembered the first time they chose mercy. The Siren child remembered how her mother sang to the stars. Ren remembered the first time she fixed something broken and made it fly again. Each memory became a shield, each emotion a blade. The Wane struck again, and this time it was cut, not with energy, with will. A final message came through, encrypted in Earth Standard, burned into the telemetry. The night is ending. Hold the line. From where? Ren checked the origin, and her eyes went wide. The signal came from inside the Wane, from a Terran beacon. Long thought lost. The Arclight, last human dreadnought. Missing since Sol fell. And it was still broadcasting, still burning. The Arclight should have been gone. Last seen during the fall of Sol, a century ago, fighting a losing war against 10 times its weight. Ren had heard the stories. A Terran super dreadnought, crewed by the last veterans of Earth. Rumors said it vanished inside the Wane. Rumors said it kept fighting. And now it was here. Not near the Nightingale. Inside the Wane. Broadcasting on open bands. This is Arclight. We are not dead. We are not afraid. We are the flame you forgot. And behind the voice, a pulse, not from engines. Not from weapons. From a heartbeat. No ship should move like that. The Arclight emerged from the dark like a god. Engines silent, hull scarred, shields inactive. It looked dead. Until the Wane reached for it. Tendrils of absence curled toward the ship like claws. And the Arclight laughed. A voice, raw, human, played over every band. Nice try. Then its hull split open. And fire poured out. Not plasma. Not antimatter. Memories. Projected. Broadcast. Every face that ever served aboard. Every song ever sung in the mess halls. Every final word spoken before death. The Wane convulsed. Its tendrils recoiled, scorched by emotion. The Arclight had weaponized remembrance. Ren synced her system to the broadcast. The Arclight's captain spoke. We've been fighting in the dark since the fall. It never stopped. But neither did we. We're not here to rescue. We're here to burn, Ren replied. Good, we lit the fuse. The Arclight launched pods, not escape vessels. Memory cores. They struck the Nightingale like comets, embedding in bulkheads and unlocking sealed subsystems. Every system began to sync. The old Terran design recognized its kin. And the ships began to sing together, not a melody, a war cry. Let the long night end. All refugees, human or not, heard it. And they sang back. In Bay 6, something ancient stirred. The last warform. A mechanized exoshell designed for planetary siege. It had been inert since before Ren was born. Now it stood. Its limbs hissed as servos rebooted. Its voice was female. Cold. Familiar. Designation, Vanguard 0, requesting orders. Ren stared. Then pointed toward the black outside. Protect what's left. Remind them what they took from us. The warform nodded. And stepped into the fire. As the two ships joined systems, a hidden file unlocked. Time-stamped. Earthfall. Final day. Voice, Elias Grange. If you're hearing this, we failed. But not all of us died. We made the dark bleed. We found what it fears. And we put it in a ship. Keep it moving. Keep it burning. Let them remember what they tried to erase. Ren stood in silence, then whispered, We're not done yet. The Wane changed. Its silence twisted, became frantic, resentful. It sent waves now. Whole sectors blinked out. But the Nightingale and Arclight held fast. The space between them flared. And for the first time, something stepped out of the Wane. A figure. Humanoid. Black-skinned, with eyes like inverted stars. It said nothing, just watched Ren, and in her bones she understood. This was the voice behind the silence, the one who unmade memory. The first god to fear us, and she smiled. Welcome to the long night, asshole. The thing that stepped out of the Wane did not speak. But its silence pressed against every mind in the fleet like ice through the skull. It wasn't trying to talk. It was trying to erase. Ren felt it reach for her memories, the sound of her father's voice, the laughter of crewmates, the final song of Earth's last broadcast. She held them tighter, and then, no. Not screamed, not shouted, spoken, and the dark flinched. Because for the first time, someone said no to oblivion, and meant it. The Arclight did not wait. It launched, not missiles. Memory bursts. Massive torpedoes of emotion-infused data, ancestral lineage, cultural myth, lost languages wrapped in quantum burn. They struck the Wane's core. It rippled, not like metal, like narrative being rewritten. And then, like a dam cracking, it screamed. A soundless rupture through space-time. And billions across the galaxy heard it, not in ears, in dreams. Inside the Nightingale, Ren replayed the old Earth signal, the last one ever sent before the fall. If we are gone, know that we loved, we hurt, we remembered. And we left something behind. Find it, share it, burn with it. It wasn't a call for rescue, it was a call to resist. The refugees aboard began to chant. Siren, Torvalok, human. Different tongues. Same message. We do not forget. We do not fall. We burn. Vanguard to zero charged. The warform danced across the hull of the Nightingale, leaping through vacuum like myth given weight. It tore into Wane projections, null-formed beasts made from thought and unbeing. Each time it struck, it didn't kill. It named. Fear, loss, grief, silence. And in naming them, it made them real. And real things can die. The unnamed human girl stood before the main reactor. She wasn't supposed to be there, but the ship let her in. She pressed her hand to the control panel and smiled. She remembered. A story, a bedtime story, about a woman made of fire who burned so brightly the stars cried out in awe. And when she spoke, the words etched themselves into the reactor's core. I am the flame that remembers. I burn so others do not fade. The reactor surged. The Nightingale's output tripled. And the ship began to hum, not with power, with song. Ren stared at the silent figure beyond the viewport, and finally spoke. You're not a god. You're not death. You're just the thing that comes when love is gone. I name you regret. The figure shattered. Not destroyed. Defined. Its power shrank. Its reach cracked. Because you can't unmake what's been named. And Ren? She'd named everything. The Arclight and Nightingale moved in tandem now. Every blast wasn't just a weapon, it was a reminder. Of planets that stood. Of voices that didn't break. Of dreams that outlived despair. The Wane cracked. Its edges curled. And in one final act of desperation, it sent a wave. A wall of forgetting, heading straight for the Terran fleet. Ren stood at the front. Come on. Try to take us. See what happens when you swallow a species that remembers every scar. And the fire met the void. The Wane came not with weapons, but with a wave. A curtain of null space sweeping toward the fleet, not to destroy, but to erase. It unmade data. Unwrote DN. Snuffed out entire thoughts from minds mid-sentence. A dozen vessels behind the Nightingale blinked from memory before they could scream. Even the Arclight flickered, its edges curling in quantum static, its history unraveling line by line. Ren gripped the console. This is it. She turned to the child, who stared calmly into the dark. Are you afraid? Ren asked. The child shook her head. We told the stars who we are. Now we show them. The Terran warform Vanguard Zero stood atop the Nightingale's outer hull. The wave approached. She didn't move. Instead, she activated full core resonance. A burst of raw Terran emotion hardened into code. Grief, fury, love. Her armor cracked. Her limbs split. And from her chest, music. Old Earth music. Distorted, broken, ancient. We didn't start the fire. The wave hit her first. And she exploded in a blast of light so intense that even the Wane recoiled. She was gone. But she remembered herself so hard that the void couldn't digest her. She became permanent. Ren could run. She could power down, seal the core. But instead, she opened every system. Let the memories flood every circuit. Let the ship's pain, her grief, her father's stories, the voices of everyone she lost, pour into the Nightingale's spine. The ship pulsed red. And then she broadcasted it, across the stars, across enemy space, across time, and said one thing: "We are human. We fall, we break, but you will never forget us." The Wane cracked, not like metal, like belief. It had been certain. It had unmade thousands of civilizations, but never this. Never defiance as identity. It reeled. And from inside it, something else moved. Not of the Wane, something older. A whisper. "You forgot too much." A pulse, not human, not alien, something that remembered the beginning. The dark turned inward. And from its heart, a human hand reached out. It was Elias Grange. Older, weathered, somehow still alive, pulled inside the Wane decades ago. He'd survived by refusing to forget. "I remembered Earth for both of us," he said, stepping onto the Nightingale's deck through a rift. Ren stared. "How?" He smiled. "You can't erase someone who keeps writing themselves back." Then he turned to the fleet. "Light the sky." Ships across the field, Torvalek, Cyrene, Fallen Accord, all received the same signal. Ignite every memory core, every chant, every shared word. They projected not weapons, but story. And the stars themselves lit. Constellations reshaped themselves into scenes of Earth. A Terran child blowing out birthday candles. The last stand on Europa. A couple kissing under broken neon in old Tokyo. The galaxy stopped. And the Wane, the Unmaker, began to crack open. It couldn't hold them all. Not when they refused to be forgotten. Ren stepped into the breach, the child beside her, Grange at her back. They walked into the heart of the Wane. It was empty. A vast cathedral of silence, until they filled it, with laughter, with stories, with love. The void screamed, but it was too late. They had made it remember. Ren walked into the heart of the Wane. No lights, no echo, just absence. Behind her, the child stepped softly. Beside her, Elias Grange, older now, slower, carried a core of flame pulled from the Arclight's memory banks. It wasn't fire. It was identity. "This is where it ends," he said. Ren shook her head. "No, this is where it begins." She took the flame, held it high, and whispered a name not spoken in a century: Earth. The silence shook. All around them, the Wane tried to press in, to unmake the moment, but they didn't resist it with force. They resisted with truth. A girl who never stopped drawing circles, because she remembered the shape of her mother's arms. A soldier who never surrendered, because he remembered the name of every man who died beside him. A mechanic who rebuilt a ship with her bare hands, because she remembered that even broken things deserve a second chance. Every name, every story, every feeling, projected into the dark, until the silence had no room left. The voice of the Wane, cold, ancient, cracked open one final time, not in threat, but confusion. "Why do you fight? There's no winning. No rescue, no return." Ren stepped forward, spoke not with defiance, but love. "Because we are made of memory. And as long as someone remembers, we are never truly gone." She placed the flame into the breach, and the Wane lit. Every world that had fallen heard it. A pulse, not sound, not light, but recognition. Stories long buried surfaced. Cultures that forgot themselves began to sing in languages they didn't remember learning. Children dreamed of oceans they'd never seen. And above it all, the stars rearranged. Just slightly, not randomly, deliberately. A shape, a curve. A spiral arm traced like a fingerprint, the Earth symbol. Humanity drawn across the night. The Nightingale floated now in calm space. The Wane was gone, not destroyed, transformed. It hadn't been an enemy. It had been emptiness, and now it was filled. Refugee ships turned their lights outward. New alliances sparked, new names formed. But at the center, one voice echoed through all of them, "Remember us." No one ever learned her real name, but they told her stories. She listened, wrote them down, painted them across starship hulls. And when she was grown, she built a station, one made of stone, glass, and old Terran steel. Not a military base, a library. And on its front, a plaque that said, "Here is everything we loved. Here is everything we lost. Here is everything we refuse to forget." The night tried to end us, but we answered it, not with war, but with a name: Earth. Thank you for listening to The Longest Night in the Galaxy. If this story lit a fire in you, like it did for us, leave a comment, share it with fellow Star Wanderers, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, even if the stars forget us, we never will.